Namaskaram. Mahabharatam, the third day's battle. That day, Duryodhana and Bheeshma jointly decided to have a Garuda Vyuha. Garuda is a falcon or an eagle and a formation in the shape of a falcon eagle. Last day we said Kraunja Vyuham. The Kraunja is a heron, which probably I forgot to mention. We don't get from Mahabharata the details of what effect each of these Vyuha formation had in the war, except in one or two cases. And Pandavas, seeing the Garuda Vyuha, they decided to have an Ardha Chandra Vyuha to counter. Ardha Chandra is half moon. It doesn't mean exact half, but it is rather a shape like this, because it talks about who stood at the two horns, the sharp ends, if it is like this. So it says, Bhima was at the right tip and of the horn, he was followed by Drupada and Virata right behind, and Drishtadyumna and Shikhandi after that. In the middle was Arjuna and Bhima and Ghatotkacha. Ghatotkacha was the son of Bhima in Hidimbi, and he was a great warrior. One of the most memorable battles in Mahabharata was fought by Ghatotkacha. We will come to that. In the beginning itself, there was a Sankula battle. Sankula in the sense one army against the other, individual, instead of duels between two great warriors. So both the sides tried their effort to break into the enemy formation, but both were solid. Neither side won in their effort. If there was a breach, they immediately managed to repair it and get back to the original formation. At one stage, the Kauravas encircled Arjuna with thousands of chariots and great warriors in them. But Arjuna fought against them all, sent arrows so fast that they couldn't do anything against Arjuna, though he was singled out in the middle. So they all were surprised by the ease with which Arjuna sent arrows. It is so fast that one followed the other without any gap. And then they turned the Kauravas turned their attention to Satyaki, who was found next to Arjuna. And they tried to do the same thing. They circled Satyaki, but Satyaki couldn't effectively check their attack, and their arrows finally crushed Satyaki's chariot into pieces. somehow, luckily, Satyaki found this guy. What is his name? Abhimanyu's Satyaki found Abhimanyu close by, so he jumped to Abhimanyu's chariot in time, and the two started fighting jointly against Kauravas from Abhimanyu's chariot. And the Pandavas, other Pandavas noticed this, and they all joined the fight, gave support to Satyaki Abhimanyu. Bhima was supported by his son Ghatotkacha, and Duryodhana tried to fight against Bhima. It was when Ghatotkacha also joined, and it was both were arch enemies. Both were trying their best to undo the other. And at one stage, Bhima managed to send a very powerful arrow aimed at the weak point on Duryodhana's armor, and it penetrated deep into his chest with great force. Such was the force that Duryodhana lost balance, and he had to sit in his chariot. And the charioteer, sensing danger, drove the chariot away from the battlefield to safety. And seeing this, the whole Kaurava army took fright, and they started running helter-skelter. They started running away from the battlefield. Bheeshma, Drona, Kripa all tried their best to call them back, to get back to the formation, but it was out of control. They took flight. And seeing this, Duryodhana was very much upset. He went to Bheeshma and complained, "Grandfather, this is unfair. Look, in front of your eyes, your army is taking to flight, which is not correct. If you have set your mind, then this wouldn't have happened. So I think you are being soft on the Pandavas." And this hurt Bhishma, because in spite of his age, he is trying his best. But Bhishma laughed and said, "Look, I have told you from the very beginning that there is none on earth to meet the Pandavas when they are supported by Krishna. And anyway, Arjuna is unparalleled. And in this case, he is also supported by Krishna. Though it is moral support, that is enough to make Arjuna invincible. So I told you in advance itself. But anyway, now you see that I shall do to my fullest extent and see how I do." And Bhishma started fighting with renewed vigor, and that founded the Pandavas. The Pandavas were surprised to see the renewed effort from Bhishma, and that was having its impact on the Pandava army. The army was trying to disintegrate. And the Pandavas trying their best, but gradually the effect of Bhishma's renewed fight was on the army, Pandava army. And after some time, Krishna lost his patience And because he has been telling Arjuna, Arjuna, you are being soft on your grandfather. This won't do. I know you are capable of giving much better fight. But Arjuna, there was no effect. So Krishna jumped from the chariot and took his discus, which is his chakra, which is his weapon, and he was running to Bheeshma. And immediately Arjuna also jumped and was running after Krishna, trying to hold him back. At this stage, one shloka, one stanza from what is called Bheeshma's Stuti is very appropriate about this incident. The Bheeshma Stuti is by Bheeshma when at one such instance Bheeshma was praying to Krishna. Bheeshma was one person who recognized the divinity in Krishna and was a great admirer of Krishna. So the stanza I have in mind is Sonigamamapahaya malpratijñam ऋतमधिकर्तुम् अवप्लुतो रथस्थ धृतरथचरणोऽभ्ययाल् चलद्गु हरिरिवहन्तुम् इभं गतोत्तरीया. Sonigamamapahaya. Krishna had taken his promise. He had promised that he would not take up arms in the Mahabharata war. That was his sworn promise. But forgetting that, Sonigamam apahaya malpratijñam ritam adhikartum. And hearing that, Bheeshma also promised that then I shall make Krishna take up arms. That was the oath Bheeshma took. And Bheeshma was a devotee of Krishna. So Krishna wanted Bheeshma's, the devotee's promise to be true. These two are opposing promises, conflicting. Krishna, even discarding his own oath, wanted to make Bheeshma's oath true. And that is why he has taken up arms. That is what Bheeshma was praying. Swanigamam apahaya malpratijñam ritam adhikartum avapluto rathastha. He jumped from his chariot. Dhritaratha abhyayal, holding the mace in hand, not mace, the discus in hand, abhyayal chaladgu, and he was running with so much force that whole earth was as though shaking, dong, 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 like that. Chaladgu. Haririva hantumidham gatottariya. He was gatottariya. His upper garment was gone in that force. And how was he like? Haririva hantum ibham. Like a lion who had jumped, pounced on an elephant to kill it. So Bheeshma says, I am that elephant, and Krishna was like a lion which pounced on me to kill me. That Krishna's coming to me was like that, like a lion jumping onto an elephant in attack. So it's a great sign, great scene. Having said this, there is one more sloka in this Bheeshma Stuti, which is slightly at an earlier occasion, that it says, Sapadi sakhivacho nishamya madhye nijaparayor belayo बलयोरथं निवेश्य स्थितवती परसैनिकायुरक्षणा हृतवती पार्थसखे रतिर्ममास्तु. It says, Sapati Sakhivacho Nishamya. Listening to the words of Arjuna, Sakhi is friend Arjuna. Listening to Arjuna's words, Arjuna asked Krishna, Krishna, drive me to the middle of the two armies. Let me see who I am fighting against. So, keeping to that, he drove the chariot to the middle. And as Arjuna was looking at his grandfather, his teachers, his cousins, all the relations whom he has to face in battle, what was Krishna doing? As he stood there, Parasainikayu Akshana Hartavati. At that time, Krishna was busy taking the lives of the opponents. How? There was no arm, but with his eyes. What does it mean? When he notices Bheeshma, oh, this is Bheeshma. He is invincible. The only way is that he has some weaknesses. I know that, so I should apply that. And Drona, again, no one can defeat him. Again, I have to apply some tricks at the appropriate time. Like that, each person he sees, he thinks of the strategy to face him in battle. And they were sure strategies. So their life already as though ended. It is for Arjuna to just send an arrow as an excuse. That is why at that time Krishna already bagged their heads in him, into his basket. Again a great shloka. So our time is up, and with this terrible battle, when Arjuna also, after this, with his full force, he attacked the Kaurava army, and it said there was a river which flew, river of the blood from both the armies, but mainly from the Kauravas, with the Arjuna's renewed vigor. And both the sides were tired. They were looking at the sun. It was already sunset, so they decided to stop the war for the day, and thus the third day's war ended. Namaskaram.